this is a video on whether your catfish is venomous, and it's quite a big topic, so I won't go over every venomous species because there is a lot. And I've written a blog post which covers all the different families with venomous species, how many there are of each, and then it's best to do your own research. And this list is sort of an estimate given on a scientific paper, so it's not all of these will be venomous, and some might be that aren't listed. So firstly, what is the difference between venom and poison? Basic difference between venomous and poison. So venom has to be injected, whereas poison is more ingested, drunk or swallowed. And the estimate of the number of venomous siluriforms, which is the scientific name for catfishes, varies. So I've seen estimates of 150, I think, but generally it's sort of around 1,250 to 1,625 species. Most catfish will not be found in trade, or at least not easily. You can find them if you want to go collecting, or if you have good contacts with importers. So the number of new species being described is quite high, so this is very much an estimate, and I did not put these families through catalogue of fish, so some might have been synonymized and some new ones might have been resurrected which are venomous. But if you want to do that, you can, and I might do it at a later date. So which ones are venomous? So I'm not going to go through the whole list because I think there's about 20 families which are venomous, contain venomous members. But the main ones I think really is, look at Aridae, which contains your Columbian shark catfish, which is a marine. This is the family of marine catfish. Not all are marine. Some travel out to marine throughout its lifespan. So the Columbian shark catfish has the scientific name Aropsis seamani, and as a juvenile, it inhabits freshwater, and then it goes through the estuarine sort of waters to a marine environment. The next one is Barracudae, and that includes quite a few more popular species of catfish, and that has around 175 to 98 species in it which are venomous or estimated to be venomous. The main family with a lot of the main one you see a lot in the trade is Calictidae. So this is the Corydoras family, as I call it, but it's split into two subfamilies. So there's Calictinae, which includes Hoplosternum, Dianema, Lepthoplosternum, Calictes, and Megalochus. So Megalochus is probably the most common in that subfamily. You will see Dianema, rarely Hoplosternum, and very rarely Lepthoplosternum or Calictes. They're almost unseen, some of them. But I doubt this subfamily has the ability to be venomous unless it is in the dorsal spine, which most the Corydoras which are venomous, which come from the subfamily Corydorinae, I don't think all are venomous, but those that are, it is in the pectoral fins. And the pectoral fins of Calictinae are quite thick. Getting punctured by that is going to be, they're covered in odontos too. So getting punctured by that is going to be very difficult. But they can all lock their pectoral fins. And very closely related to Calictidae is actually Lorichardae. And Lorichardae contains no venomous members as far as we know. Their pectoral fins, yes, they're sharpish, but getting stabbed by one, actually puncturing the skin would be quite a challenge. But their odontos are very sharp and they can puncture skin, but they won't cause any issues. Then there's Claridae, Clarotes, you see a few of them. Doridae, you see quite a few members. Ictoluridae, you see more in American people when they're fishing. They get out the channel catfish, Ictolurus, Punctatus, stuff like that. Amarellus, I think they're called bullheads catfish. They're almost unseen in the UK now. I think regulations have meant they're not really loud. But they include venomous members. Mochidae, which includes Synodontis, they're known to be quite strong. Their venom is known to be reasonably strong or quite strong. Pangasidae, that includes Pangasius, Pangasius salatuarsi, which is the Peruvian shark, critically endangered, IUCN top 100 most threatened species. It also includes Pangasius gigas, the Mekong catfish, one of the largest freshwater fish. Also includes Pangasidon hypothalamus. Whether those ones specifically are venomous, I'm not sure. They could be, but they're quite big, so anything predating them is going to be a challenge. Pimlidae, there's quite a few members. Plotosidae, you only really see them in the marine trade. So the most common, as I said, are Calyptidae and also Mochidae, so the Corydoras and the Synodontis. Not closely related at all, but they are rather common. None of them really have venom toxic enough to actually cause any like death or anything that bad unless you're allergic. So the venom gland sort of works by, it usually is injected either by the dorsal fin spine or the pectoral fin spine, which in almost all catfish I've seen, or all catfish I've seen, have the ability to lock their pectoral fins, but I haven't seen all catfish because there's so many. So you might be wondering, how toxic is the venom? People most often stung by members of Corydoras, it doesn't seem that they're that bad. They will cause swelling and it is painful. The swelling is more reported by people, but it is known to cause pain. Corydoras stirbi is known in the hobby for being the most painful. I've never been stung by Corydoras stirbi. I got stung by Corydoras trillionatus, which is often missold as Corydoras julii. And the important thing to remember about any sort of venomous fish is that, or any fish really with some sort of sharp apparatus, is that it might not be the venom that causes the issue or even the sharp apparatus. Anything that punctures the skin leaves the skin open, or the tissues below open to infection. Bacteria could get in, viruses, fungi, protozoa even. Protozoa usually are coming through other ways. You see that it's usually, but anything can get in through a wound. So that can be the actual issue involved. You also have allergic reactions. People can be allergic to anything and it can suddenly appear. So you could be stung 100 times by Corydoras and you're not really, your body sort of gets used to it, but then you can develop an allergic reaction. It does happen randomly. I believe allergic reactions are autoimmune. So you can have been fish keeping for years and it just suddenly develops. And so what else about, it's not like, with allergic reactions, you kind of, an EpiPen is useful, but unless you have one, having one just in case you get stung, because getting stung is really unlikely. I've only had it by handling dead fish and I'm quite accident prone. I have been stabbed by my Platystachys cotylophorus male, but he's not venomous. Aspirinidate has no venomous members. It just hurt and then it punctured. I got a little bit of a splinter in my skin. And that can be part of the issue. Splinters, so foreign bodies can cause a reaction in the body, so swelling, pain. And because your body is trying to break it down, it is foreign tissue, it's not recognised by your immune system as sort of native, per se. So the next sort of catfishes I'm going to talk about is, you won't see often, but these seem to be the ones with the worst or the most toxic venom. So this is Plotisus, which catfish enthusiasts probably rarely actually get into contact with. Most of us are more freshwater. We prefer freshwater. That is like our entire hobby is freshwater. And there are marine catfishes. As I said, there is that Columbian shark catfish, which the scientific name I always have to read of, which is Aropsis seamani. But there are marine ones, and this is Plotosus lineatus is one I have seen in the aquarium trade out of this genus. And I've only actually seen it on strictly marine wholesalers, and it's listed under the Venomous group. It does not require a license. I don't think there is any fish anywhere. Well, some countries will have rules against or legislation against venomous fish. I'd have thought so, but in the UK it's not listed as a dangerous wild animal, even if it is wild technically. So it does not require a license. But the venom of Plotosus lineatus is listed as being able to cause deaths, and that is more focused in fishing, because if you're fishing in the sea, you're more likely to find them, and they get big. They lose that beautiful stripe pattern. So it's more people that are fishing that come into contact with this species, and in the aquarium trade it's not common. It is way too big for most aquariums, and it's not really colourful enough for most people that keep marine. But and the deaths is, I'm not seeing any actual references of actual deaths, but it's in the scientific paper, so I assume it's sort of might be. So the venom results in severe pain, numbness, fever, weakness, nausea, local paralysis, and dizziness. It's not something you want to be stung by. And in some cases, fluid accumulation to the area, and then gangrene. So gangrene is sort of like the death of tissues. It sort of goes black and manky. And it does have another member in the species that I found another scientific paper on, and this is Plotosus caneus, which has venom powerful enough to produce intense pain, swelling, and gangrene of affected areas in mice, and the venom was shown to cause hypertension. In mice, the venom was shown to cause hypertension, neuromuscular blockage, respiratory failure, and cardiac arrest. So it sort of, the dosage was reasonable for the mouse from the scientific paper. I haven't quoted the actual dosage because it is I think it's the small, I have not done, is when I did environmental studies, and that was A level, is LD 50, I think. It needed not too much actual venom to cause those issues in the mouse, but mice are a lot smaller. But I wouldn't say it's something to worry about. A lot of sea catfishes are venomous, and a lot of sea fish probably are. I do not look at marine. I don't have an interest in it. But not many people are going to come into contact with these anyway. It's just something worth considering. But don't panic. People go absolutely worried when they hear they've got venomous pets and it's going to kill them, and it probably won't. Because I've been in this hobby 12 years. I have never seen someone die from a venomous fish, envenomating them. I have seen news things of people not handling their corals properly and then getting that toxins. But that's totally different. And it's not, I would not be worried. Firstly, I'm going to say about how to avoid envenomation. And the first thing is, don't catch a fish unless you need to. Don't bother it with your hand, corner it, stuff like that. Corydoras are known to not go after people, sort of actually on purposely go into your finger with their pectoral fin. So it is a defense mechanism, and a lot of catfish will do that. If it is a defense mechanism, they're going to use it. So what else can you do? You can use a net instead of using your hands, although we do recommend, for catfish it's always recommended really to avoid nets, because catfish have a lot of spines and they do easily get trapped in nets. But you can, I believe you can get plastic nets. What you can use is a net and sort of angle the fish into a plastic container or bowl, just so you can get it sort of cornered, so rather than it getting trapped in the net. And if the fish is trapped in the net, you are probably in the worst position. But you getting envenomated is bad for the fish, but it's bad for you and the fish. So also handling using gloves. So you see it a lot with the larger Lorcardae. They might not be venomous, but stuff like Pseudocanthicus, they are sharp. So the cactus plecos, as they're sometimes called. So gloves are used then, and you don't want a glove that you want a glove that the spines cannot go through. So what to do if you get envenomated? And most venom, can't stress enough, that is not like life-threatening most of the time. It's not something to worry about. Having Corydoras, I have never seen anyone have a real big issue with Corydoras. If you're allergic, then you wouldn't know unless you're envenomated, and then I would follow the procedure for any allergic reaction. But with any wound, firstly, you want to clean it because you don't want bacteria getting in it. So either I think rubbing alcohol is used a lot in America, but you have antiseptic creams and stuff like that. You want to clean the area. It is kind of best to get any foreign tissue out, but if it's quite large, that's going to be a challenge, and a lot of the spines have, so once it's in, it's going to be a struggle to get back out. So it's a bit of a pain, but you want that tissue removed, whether you have to go to doctors to get it removed if it's too big. But other than that, I'm not a doctor, so my advice is really just keep an eye on the symptoms, clean the wound as you would if you cut yourself. And I think sort of a last topic would be Corydoras and their venom. So I should have mentioned earlier when I was talking about Corydoras, and they have this thing which I think is not really talked about outside Corydoras circles so much, that Corydoras venom doesn't always act as a venom. So sometimes you might buy a load of Corydoras and then they come to you all dead in the bag. You think, oh, must have been poor care, stuff like that. Corydoras venom, as if you look at, well, I don't think there's any videos, but they lock their fins and they can release the venom outside. It's just like the armpit underneath their pectoral fins, and the venom will release from there and become more of a poison, which will kill all the other fish in the bag, whether they're Corydoras or not. So it's why it's usually recommended to bag them in at most 3s, so it does not cause as much of an issue. Other than that, there's sort of other things people have said you can do, such as stressing out the fish beforehand, so it releases its venom, and then once you put it in the bag, it's fine. But fish store anything with venom, stores it for a lot. Even snakes that are venomous, they bite you and they won't drain it all out easily. So that might not be that, it will stress the fish out more, so it's more like the fish is more likely to have be stressed out during import, more likely to die and stuff like that. People have said about aspirin, but I ain't gonna try putting aspirin in, because looking at the venom, there's a guy in the USA who is studying Corydoras venom, and looking at the mode of action, aspirin is sort of would work, but whether it have other side effects is not known. So no one's willing to risk their Corydoras by putting it in aspirin. So why does the Corydoras do it? It does it because when it's being swallowed by a predator, you might have seen the person that swallowed the Corydoras and died. They lock their pectoral fins because they don't want to go down any further. And then they will jab their spines in, and venom, it's sort of like a syringe method, it looks like. But a lot of syringe methods, you notice that there's sort of like a groove that the venom travels down. So I guess in the bag, it is an enclosed space, so in the tank, there is no issue if the fish does get trapped and released its venom. It's not going to kill off everything in the tank. But in a closed system, like a fish bag, it's more of an issue. It's going to build up and it's going to kill the other fish in the bag. So bagging Corydoras in hundreds isn't great. I always unbag Corydoras first because I don't want them in the bag any longer, because the venom takes, I believe it was around 3 minutes to actually kill the fish. So yeah, so it's not great. You might have seen a video of the lady with a sea catfish on the beach and jabbing it into another girl, and that isn't recommended. And you can see that tetanus is occurring where the tissues, or tetanus in the tissues where they contract, and the pain and getting out these spines is not easy. But it's nothing to worry about really with Corydoras. I'd act with precaution when bagging them. I would not want to stress them out too much, and really just, you can with the corners of the bags of tie them up with elastic bands so they don't feel trapped if they get into the corner. Other than that, I think that's all you can do. Anyway, thank you for watching. Read my blog posts if you're interested in looking at further. I'm going to add to it when I find more information and as I can. But other than that, thank you for watching.